Thank you, Speaker. I rise this morning to speak yet again about the impact of WestConnex on our community in the electorate of Newtown and throughout New South Wales, and note the presence of the Minister for WestConnex in the chamber. This morning we saw the Sydney Morning Herald reported that Labor's Waste Watch spokesperson, who also happens to be in the chamber, had uncovered that Transport New South Wales bypassed the usual independent reviews to fast-track $2 million of urgent spending on ads spruiking the features and vision of WestConnex. Yesterday, in an interview with James Valentine, investigative journalist Michael West outlined what could only be described as a utopian concept of an equalisation factor, which will somehow see the content of this interview. I encourage you all to listen to, is something that only the best political satirists and comedy writers of this country could even begin to write. Discusses what is a toll equalisation factor that somehow allows companies to be able to charge tolls not on a distance-based tolls, but somehow times by a certain higher figure. So depending on the distance-based toll that you are charged, you will then be paying a higher amount on certain bits of road, even though the piece of road has not changed in size. These are just some of the latest financial disasters and absolute rip-offs that we are seeing being hidden in uncovered and inaccessible secret contracts and thousands of pages of modelling that is unable to be assessed or reviewed by the community in deals about WestConnex. And it's not the first time that I've risen in the chamber to speak about these disastrous impacts and the impact that this is having not just on our communities but also on New South Wales as a whole. There are too many giant red flags now flying and regarding this project and the octopus offshoots that continue to be added about the murky financial machinations that are driving it. We are seeing daily revelations about shonky dealings and daily media about severe construction and tolling impacts on large numbers of communities. It is no surprise that the New South Wales Auditor-General has chosen to re-examine WestConnex because of the huge costs, huge risks and the level of public fury about this project. And we have seen the really concerning findings of the Australian National Audit Office and the scathing report that we saw in relation to that as well. But yet this Liberal National government continues its agenda to bulldoze through communities and to spend large amounts of funds on what has been an exorbitant expense of public money. The bankers and lawyers are having an absolute field day. Wall Street investment banker Goldman Sachs has been paid around $16.5 million in less than a year by this government just to set up the sale of WestConnex. Let's be clear, they haven't built anything, they haven't delivered any infrastructure. $16.5 million to set up the sale of the Sydney Motorway Corporation. To put that in perspective, the 50 disability advocacy organisations in New South Wales are set to close because we cannot get this government to commit to $13 million to continue their ongoing work in the community. With initial bids now for the controlling share of this dirty, unsustainable toll road being put in place by Transurban and its backers, Australian Super and the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, it is looking like Transurban are the front runners, even though they are talking down their chances with the hopes that they might secure another bargain like the Cross City Tunnel, which the group purchased in 2014 for a mere $470 million, when in actual fact it cost the community $1.1 billion to build. The ACCC is now investigating Transurban for the third time because of the potential conflicts of interest in this company's growing toll road monopoly. With full or partial control of 13 of Australia's toll roads, Transurban is laughing all the way to the bank. You just have to look at the staggering profits of Transurban, which were up 280% in 6 months, to know who is winning out of this New South Wales Liberal government's toll road building agenda. It is also interesting to note that we now see other bidders for the 51% of the Sydney Motorway Corporation and the 40-year toll concessions are IFM Investors, a giant pension fund management investment corporation which many of our individual super money is being put through and funnelled into this privatisation of the control of our transport infrastructure. And CIMIC, the other corporation that is in on this mix. And I note that in November last year, the Premier met individually with both CIMIC and IFM in the same month of November, and now we see that there are reports that they may combine their own bids to strengthen their bid for the push on the Sydney Motorway Corporation privatisation agenda. It is outrageous, and this must stop. The financial disaster that WestConnex must end.